Hi all, Amber Celestial Angel here, and bringing a message and video on consciousness and ascension. So, many people maybe don't understand the concept of consciousness, or even if you do understand consciousness, there are different consciousnesses that you attain or download, right? So I'm going to talk about these different consciousness downloads and how we get those downloads. Some of it is out of our control, but some of it is not. It will just naturally come to you as you are more aligned, right? Okay, so consciousness. Everybody carries consciousness, right? If you think of in terms of frequency vibration, like consciousnesses each carry their own frequency and vibration. They are their own, you can imagine like just a ball of energy. And they have their own frequencies, their own vibrations to make them their own unique consciousness, because we're speaking of consciousness here. And so Yeshua taught this. That is the Christ consciousness. The monks teach this. The monks have a consciousness. You know, there's each of these different ways to learn, and they each have their own set way within the consciousness of delivering the message, which the main message is still the same, whatever group you get it from, right? So monks, Jesus, the Christ, Yeshua, the Christed, the Native American, like all of these tribes, Nordic, all the tribes, all these indigenous and ancestrals that were directly connected to Source God, Creator, the One, right? So it's all different teachings, but it's the same concept. And this is the oneness, getting into the oneness. And that is what this consciousness is here to teach, to give. Right now, we are in a time and an age of mass awakening, consciousness, people waking up, remembering, not just here in the mind, in the remembrance from past consciousness you have had as a soul, but remembering on a cellular DNA level. So this aligns and comes into all aspects of your being, because that is where within the oneness is. So you can think of this consciousness downloads, I'll call them downloads, or attaining consciousness, or when you meet somebody, and I'm going to tell my story of my encounter with Yeshua in 3D in real life. You can have a transference of consciousness where they can give you the consciousness, okay? So, and this is in ancient teachings and texts, and there have just been teachers and ascended masters, we may call them, the Buddha, the Yeshua, just all these different teachers along the way, and many like you and I, like not quite even known, just many who have known or gained this wisdom, knowledge, yet wisdom. So going back to that, think of the consciousness as if you think of the movie The Matrix, right? So you have different downloads, programs that you can he does kung fu, and then he just knows kung fu, right? Like he downloads this program and then he just knows it. That's kind of like how it is. Now, it takes processing time when you get these downloads. So you've got to still process this. But the main point here is that's how it works. You download or attain consciousness. And right now is the time, at least in all the teachings, religious texts, and all these different texts of, yes, this awakening. Many people awakening, remembering it is redemption time, where there is a huge portal opening and many souls who were lost are here to remember and be reawakened and to come back home. And that's what it's about. Returning. Return. The return of Christ is the return of the Christ consciousness. And that is what many other teachers, ascended masters have taught, coming back to the one, the self, holy. And I'm going to do a video on that as well, just what does it mean to be holy. But this is aligned in the oneness, directly connected to Source, God, Creator, the unconditional love, the one, the all. Great mystery, however you want to phrase this, connecting directly to. This is what we are coming back into, this Christ consciousness, this remembrance, this period of time where it's time to remember, awaken that consciousness, or receive that consciousness. And that can happen in different ways. How it happens can happen in different ways, but usually it is given to you through an ascended master or a near-death experience. Like there are twin flame, twin soul. There are different ways things can awaken this consciousness within, and encounters with people, and being in that oneness meditative, in that state of the one, and getting these answers and guidance, and through already being connected. So that is how you receive consciousness. So I just want to tell a little brief story. I'll try and make it brief, of my encounter with Yeshua. And the age was very significant for me that I met him. And mind you, him, it is not him necessarily, it is the consciousness. And the consciousness this person carried to give it to me, that was Christ consciousness. So I was out at the beach one day and I brought my harp. This is something I do. I go out and I'll take my harp out, not every time, but when I go out in nature, a lot of the time as I'm doing my own work with the land, I'll bring out my harp. Well, this time I just wanted to bring it just to be there with me. I was having kind of a rough day and I needed to just get away and be in nature. So I went to the beach and I was standing there in the water, and I know now, I was in the oneness, and what I was there is I could feel everything all around me. I could feel it all. I could feel the water, the sand, the wind, and I could see everything. See the clouds, the birds, like everything simultaneously. And I could feel my happiness and joy and complete love in this place. Yet also I felt the sadness that I had went there for in the first place, the confusion. I felt everything all at once, all in this oneness all at once. And it was just everything in my body at once. And there's a lot more to the story than I'm gonna explain. Maybe I'll just do a whole another video on every little thing that happened in that video, because or in that encounter. But I want to try and just briefly discuss how this transference of consciousness happened with me. So I was in that space, right? Okay, that's the first thing. I was in that space of oneness. So I go and I'm sit down on a rock and I'm just feeling all that I just felt, and like taking it all in, processing it, and like, wow. And this man comes up, and I thought he was homeless. And so he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I sit here or join you?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, but am I in your spot?" Like, I thought he was a homeless man, and it was getting to be the evening time, and I heard, but I don't know, but I've heard that homeless people would go and, like, camp out there at night. So I thought I was in this man's spot. So I said, "Oh, am I in your spot? Like, I can move?" He said, "No, not at all. I just saw you here, and I saw you have a harp, and I'm just wondering, do you play?" And I said, "Well, kind of. I'm not great, but I play intuitively, just like with the land." And he's like, "Oh, that's neat. I play the guitar. Do you mind if I play?" And I said, "No, you can try it out." And he did it, and it sounded beautiful, really. It wasn't much, but it was beautiful. And so many things happened. He showed me a rock and a stone, and took out this magnifying glass to show me it up close, right? Okay. And he starts speaking of consciousness, and he said, "Imagine consciousness is the ocean, and this vast ocean, this vast consciousness, and it's an ocean, and you have a fish in that ocean. So if the fish decides to go out of that, does that mean the fish was never part of it?" And I'm like, "Well, no, the fish would still have been a part of it." So he was telling me that there is always an imprint, that no matter what, even if your consciousness separates or you forget in a way, it was always there. Your consciousness is always there, always here. And you just remember that that consciousness is a part of you, your soul. It is a part of you. And you know, the fish can be out of the water or in the water. The consciousness is what we attain, we remember, we grasp, we download, that we've already had, or learn a new one. In this lifetime, you know, you can gain a consciousness each lifetime. And right now we are in a period of time that many people are gaining many consciousnesses, remembering many, and learning some, downloading them at an accelerated speed. That's just the time that we're in right now. And so he ends up telling me certain things that I was going through that I did not mention about my own life, and giving me answers. He was speaking in parables I hadn't realized until after the fact, like, wow, that encounter was Yeshua, and I was just granted this Christ consciousness. So he told me things about my own self and my own mission and my own things that I'm to do here, and how I do those things. And So that's another story. Or it's part of the story, but I won't go into all that. This is just consciousness is the main thing. So he ended it with this: many are called, few are chosen. And I encourage you, if you feel that in your soul and your heart, you know you're different in some way. You don't have to necessarily be called a chosen. There's a reason for it. And to follow that heart and that calling, that is how you come back home here, directly connected with that oneness that all of the teachers, ascended masters have taught, how you get back to that place, the true self, the soul, home. And we are in a time now of this as well, the love, going into the fifth dimension, which we were to begin with, but certain people, beings, took us back in density, but we are to be fifth dimensional. We are, I and the human race, and that's where the ascension is, or what this means, ascending, right? Because we are already supposed to be there. We have supposed to already been past that, but from being held back and souls being trapped and lost, here we are at this time to ignite and help you remember your soul essence, who you truly are, and you find that in being in the oneness. And through, right now, the teaching is unconditional love, and it is a state of being. So with my encounter with Yeshua, yes, that is how it ended. And during this time, I felt I didn't realize what had happened at first. It took me a moment to process, and I said to myself, who was that person? Like, you have those encounters. That's why I say pay attention to signs and synchronicities and people who come into your life with a message. There's a reason for it. Or certain people who come in, period, to stay or go, whatever, there are messages. And I'm like, that was definitely something, and that meant something. And I looked back to like see if he was gonna disappear, like like was that an angel in form? I wasn't sure, but I knew he was somebody or something. And he was still there walking, and then I looked back a little bit later and he wasn't there, but I mean, he had time to walk somewhere else. But I left a little bit after that, and as I'm going up this ramp to get back to my car, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, because he said things from the Bible, like that many are called, few are chosen, and he had said something else that was a biblical verse that I recalled. He might have said more, but I may not just have known them. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that was Yeshua, and I do not call him Jesus. He is Yeshua. That is his original name through original texts and who he truly is. Yeshua. And I'm like, oh, I think that was him. Oh my gosh, I think that he just transferred the Christ consciousness. And I'm like, when you're on this journey, you realize like things aren't crazy. It's actually really real and realistic. Like there is far more that is real that cannot be seen, that is here and now. It is more real than what is here and now. And I'll do a video all on that too, one of these days. What's actually real. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and you get mind blown when you have these things and you experience these things, and it continues to happen as you're on this soul journey. Your mind will get blown, but your soul just knows. So, this song came on as I was walking up that ramp and said, oh my gosh, I think that's him. And the song Holy came on. And I knew. And it felt like he was just confirming and sending that message to me. And then one moment. Alarm's going off, so sorry about that. And so I'm like, wow. And then I get to my car, and the car parked next to me, had a bumper sticker of Yeshua. And I knew for sure at that moment, because, Spirit, our guides, the angels, source, it will send you things repeatedly until you listen. And if you're unsure or you doubt, it'll send it again. It'll make sure that you pay attention. But sometimes you still don't, but you should. But that's what it's trying to do, make you pay attention. So that was my experience, encounter. Like I said, there is so much more to it, but this is just on consciousness and ascension. And yes, we are here and we are meant to ascend, evolve. And a lot of that has to do with non-physical dealings, things that are not necessarily in the physical that we use as ascension tools. And consciousness is one of them, being in the oneness, returning to the soul. There are different ways to get to these places, to receive these things, and that's where each person is unique, and each teacher is unique, and whoever you choose to help you down that path, to align, that is your choice, whoever you resonate with. But now, with all that being said and all that experience and wisdom, knowledge being taught to you, and within this video there has been a lot that came up, and I'm going to dissect and do certain things that I mentioned in this video, like I am going to share 3 keys on how to get to the state of Zen, which is the place of oneness, and I'm going to share about what it is to be holy. There are many topics I'm being called to bring to people, so if you don't quite understand some of these things, I'm also dissecting them separately as well, but I'm also doing bigger videos like this that have a lot in one. I have different audience, so some connect with certain things and some don't. Some need little basic messages and guidance, and others need big guidance and bigger understanding, knowledge, wisdom to be passed on. So now, with all that being said, I am opening up mentorship the beginning of the year to help. I've been called in to help you find your own purpose. This has been part of my membership, but you following your heart, your soul, and how you get into your own heart and soul. Physically get in there, and this is a place where you can heal yourself in all ways, physically, mentally, emotionally. This is where you heal and you connect with yourself directly, connected to all in the one. And I also teach about the angels in there, and all the beings, star and ghosts and that kind of thing. Like, I kind of let you know what the difference is and how those differences are, which it's all based on frequency and vibration. So I teach all that. I help you individually and as a group, and other people who understand or want to learn the same learn these things as well. So, and also, of course, I do my sessions and services. So you can visit ambercelestialangel.com or email amber@ambercelestialangel.com. Much love and many blessings. Bye, all.